You haven't done so well yourself by telling...
Irene Ryan was one of the most familiar faces in American television history. For nearly a decade, she played the sharp-tongued, feisty Granny Daisy Moses on the Beverly Hillbillies, bringing joy and laughter to millions. But when the cameras stopped rolling, the story of Irene Ryan was a far cry from the woman America thought they knew. Off-screen, she was neither loud nor brash. Instead, she was quiet, private, and terribly alone. And when she died in 1973, the woman who had brought so much laughter to the world passed away in silence, without children, without family at her side, and without the fanfare her remarkable life deserved. So, what really happened to the woman behind Granny? And why did she vanish with so little notice from the world she had entertained for decades? Born Jessie Irene Noblet in El Paso, Texas, in 1902, Irene grew up under the stern eye of a strict Army father. Her childhood was one of obedience, not dreams, but even then, her spirit was impossible to cage. At just 11 years old, she entered a singing contest. Her performance of Pretty Baby earned her $3 and a roomful of applause. That day marked the beginning of a lifelong love affair with the stage, with performance, with laughter. Irene didn't just want to be seen, she needed to be heard. She spent her early years chasing vaudeville stages and radio shows, learning the rhythm of comedy and the pulse of a live audience. In the 1920s, she married Tim Ryan, a fellow vaudeville performer. Together, they formed a comedy duo, Tim and Irene, touring coast to coast, making America laugh through the Great Depression. But behind their stage smiles, their marriage unraveled. After 20 years, they divorced. Still, Irene kept working with Tim on occasion because for her, the show always came first. As Hollywood shifted from radio to film to television, Irene refused to fade into the background. She appeared in dozens of movies and radio shows, even performing with Bob Hope and entertaining American troops during World War II. She was the kind of performer directors loved, reliable, funny, and tireless. But despite all this, she never landed a major starring role. That is, until 1960. At 59 years old, Irene auditioned for a role that would change everything, the character of Granny for a new CBS sitcom called The Beverly Hillbillies. Most casting agents thought she was too young to play an 80-year-old mountain grandmother. But Irene had something they couldn't ignore. She showed up at the audition with her hair in a tight bun, no makeup, and dove headfirst into character. When she left the room, everyone knew she was Granny, and America agreed. From the moment The Beverly Hillbillies aired, Irene Ryan became a star. Her sharp delivery, wild energy, and comedic genius made her the heart of the show. Granny was outrageous, unpredictable, and utterly unforgettable. The role earned her to Emmy nominations and a place in television history, but behind the scenes, Irene remained humble and disciplined. She memorized her lines religiously, rehearsed until her scenes were perfect, and never took her fame for granted. Yet, even at the height of her success, she remained deeply private. She never remarried. After her second divorce, she had no children, and very few people were ever invited into her inner world. Friends described her as sweet, kind, and a bit sad. Hollywood adored her, but it never truly embraced her beyond the character of Granny. After the show ended in 1971, she struggled to find roles that didn't typecast her. She had spent her whole life honing her craft: dramatic acting, musical theater, vaudeville, but all anyone wanted now was Granny. Still, Irene didn't stop. In 1973, at age 70, she accepted a role in the Broadway musical Pippin, playing the grandmother Berthe. Her solo number, No Time at All, became a surprise hit. Audiences cheered as she sang about living life to the fullest, swinging on a trapeze each night in the middle of her number. But behind the curtains, something was terribly wrong. Irene had started to feel tired, dizzy spells, memory lapses, confusion. She brushed them off. After all, the show had to go on. But on March 10, 1973, during a performance in Washington, D.C., Irene collapsed on stage. She was rushed to the hospital, where doctors diagnosed her with a stroke. Further tests revealed something far more devastating: a malignant brain tumor and severe heart disease. Her time was running out. She returned to California and was admitted to a hospital in Santa Monica. She never returned to the stage. On April 26, 1973, Irene Ryan passed away. There were no headlines, no grand tributes, no farewell specials. For a woman who had made the world laugh for over 50 years, her death went almost unnoticed by the industry she had helped build. She died alone: no husband, no children, no close family to hold her hand. But her story didn't end there. In her will, Irene left behind a final gift. She had quietly arranged to donate her entire estate, nearly $1 million, to help aspiring young performers chase their dreams. The Irene Ryan Foundation was born, and with it, the Irene Ryan Acting Scholarship, which to this day supports college actors across the United States. Each year, thousands of students audition in her name. Many don't even know who she was, but they owe their first step onto a professional stage to Granny Daisy. It's a legacy built not on fame or fortune, but on generosity, vision, and love for the craft. Irene never needed a big family because, in the end, she created one. Thousands of young performers, generations of actors, owe their first chances to a woman who died without heirs but left behind an empire of possibility. She will always be remembered as Granny the wild-haired, sharp-tongued grandma who could out-chew any man and cook up a possum stew with a side of sass. But the real Irene Ryan was more than just a sitcom character. She was a trailblazer, a fighter, and a woman who knew what it meant to make people laugh even when her own heart was heavy. In the quiet spaces between the laughter, Irene Ryan lived a life few understood, but today, as her scholarship lights the way for thousands of young dreamers, one thing is clear: she never truly left us. Every time a young actor steps onto a stage, fueled by hope and passion, Irene is there, watching, applauding, smiling from the wings.